is your time.
Fire!
Feel the power of your javelin, its precision. Rely on each other. Unleash your power. Never give up.
Ready, Javelin 1?
Let's go!
You are freelancers.
And welcome everybody to episode 10 of Anthem Free Radio. We're titling this Can Anthem Recover? It's been a rocky launch to say the least, but there's also a lot of good and that's come along with that. And that's what the plan is for today. We've had a live stream yesterday covering a lot of stuff coming with the March 12th update. We've got updates on what's going on with PlayStation 4 users as well. And so with that, I want to introduce our panel, our crew here, our squad. We've got Nightmare Demon Gaming. Welcome back from vacation, sporting the black and white image.
Vacation. Yes, sir.
And Sir Mav over at iGame HDR.
What's
up?
up?
Official member as of last episode. And so episode 10, this is going to be a fun journey. And I'm going to go pull up my outline because we got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna toss over to you, iGame. We got a lot to break down in the news. The rest of the conversation is going to be really wrapped around can we recover, and I think we need to frame that with the context of what's coming, because it's like, well, you know, it all depends on what they're going to do, and they have a live stream. They're targeting every 2 weeks. Which is perfect, because that's what we're targeting for this podcast. Right? Every 2 weeks. Thank you very much, Bioware. You got my emails. Hey, guys, if you could drop news, like on Wednesday before the Thursday when we do a podcast.
That'd be fantastic.
Perfect.
Sir Mav, dude, break it down. What did we learn yesterday? What do we know? What's coming? What do we have to be excited about?
Well, we know that they have at least 300 different changes and fixes coming to the game here on this next patch here, Tuesday, March 12th. So that's going to be insane. It's a ton of fixes that have really been plaguing at least the hate crew that's been going on online. But I mean, some of them are understandable. I mean, with the PS4 one, where it's basically been rebooting their whole system and shutting it down on the console. I mean, I could see why that could be really annoying.
I think it goes beyond annoying, because the panic comes into like because like if anybody here has played on PlayStation, I have kids, they power that thing off all the time mid game, and it always have to go do that rebuild. So that's nothing new to my world. But imagine in my mind, like, because again, the balance I have when I talk about Anthem is that I haven't had these experiences. My experience has been really, really positive. That being said, imagine if I try to put myself in their shoes. If I wanted to play the game, like I'm actively trying to play, and then I have got a downtime of 30 minutes, especially as a dad, when it's like, if I got 2 hours to play and ends up being 45 minutes of that I didn't play. Like, I've had that experience in games before, and my response always was, I'm going to go play something else. Let me know when this is ready. You know, like, I will come back. Just tell me when, etc. Anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
No, I totally get that. But I've been the same thing. Like I've mainly had positive issues besides the quick play bug, which basically just initiates, you go in, it loads you in, but then you can't progress anywhere because there's no objective to go to.
That's being fixed. That's being fixed
too.
So how often did that hit you? Because I heard about the quick play bug. I'm working on the Path of Valor, but a part of that is to run 25 quick plays or 50, like some number of quick plays. And I'm like, if it's a 50-50 shot, like I can wait till the 12th to progress.
Well, let's put it this way: that's all I have left on the Path to Valor.
Okay, so it has been hit yet.
It's quite frequent. I mean, yeah. I've only completed 5, I think, on quick play. Okay, and it wasn't really an issue until that first initial patch, I think, that went out.
The 28th.
Yeah, the 28th. Yeah.
Okay,
when it really became an issue.
The only bugs I've really ran into was like the noise cancellation bug, where all sound would completely end and you would have to reboot the game to have sound back. And I've had like a few like random crashes, but nothing like crazy. It just randomly decide that it's done playing with me for today and I'd have to reset.
Yeah, I've hit the audio bug twice, But I mean, when you
I hit
factor that
audio
over,
a few times.
I think I'm at 120 hours of gameplay. That like from like when I say my experience has been positive, like it's
Brian's
been
lucky.
positive. Like yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe this game was built for
Brian's on Bioware
maybe the luck of the Irish, which is like I'm German, which is awkward. You know, maybe that's playing out. Oh well,
No,
for me, so.
Brian's just got Bioware in his back pocket.
I wish, guys. Like yeah.
My buddy Assyrian was saying you played on normal, you hardly notice it all. So maybe I need to start doing that because I hadn't tried that. I'm always trying to do GM1, trying to get
yeah,
that.
like I want to go with the hardest difficulty.
Yeah,
so
right. But
if it's about, I guess, quick play and getting that done, you know, I guess if that's the fix, then I'm happy to get that progress.
obviously
done.
you want to stay at GM1 because apparently GM2.
Well,
and
have you
worked
seen
hard
the
for it.
decal? Have you seen the
Yes,
decal?
I have seen the decal. Dave happily showed that off, and that's what it was. What I told him is that people look at like the requirements, and I look at it and I go, "Oh, this is great." I'm an RPG guy. Like it's like you know, because like the argument can always be split both ways on like valor, might, all that. You look at it and you're like, "There's nothing to do in this game." And this is ridiculous. This is too much to do in this game. Like that's where it kind of falls in. And I just look at it, I go, great. I'm playing with my friends and I'm progressing in those things. If I was actively like, I have to finish Valor by, let's say, Friday, I'd be stressed out, right? Especially if that bug was preventing me. But my expectations, I've set those, I hopefully have set those grounded in some, like when I look at the reality of what I have to do every day. It's like if I can get a few contracts in, if I can get a few missions in, if I can find lore, like that's my progress. That's the thing I jump in. And that's why I think I have a different experience where I know a lot of people who are like, I am ready to like grind on this game. And then the game prevents you from doing that. That's where I think tension and expectation comes in. And that's not to excuse by any stretch of the imagination what, like Bioware has to fix these problems. Anyway, we got more to cover. I'll save my rant for later. Go ahead, Sir Matt.
No, I was gonna say, and yeah, they are addressing a ton of issues, and I think which I'm going to cover in my review. I mean, they've gone through already 5 different patches and hot fixes. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's insane just off the start of the game. So they're working hard on trying to get everything done. And
what I like, when I commend them on, and when I reviewed, just when I did, people are like, you reviewed the game. I was like, no, I've actually reviewed Bioware. Like, and they're constant communicating. They're showing up. They're letting us know. Like, we knew about that. They addressed the PlayStation issue, and then the next, like, it's like within the next day. Like, I don't think people who don't work in the development world understand just how much work actually goes on trying to identify those problems. I don't know if anybody saw like I watched like Boogie's video, and he was like, "Don't they have a PlayStation? Can't they test this?" And it's like the you deal with that in any development industry. The concept that when it comes to reproducing an error, like it is one of the hardest things to do because you have tested it. You've tested it under circumstances, etc. But when in the real world, those things don't, you get a different whole look. And that's what we'll talk about that the bigger piece in the later half. But that's where I was just like, you guys got to send in your data because something's happening. They need as much of those crash reports as possible because that will help them identify it. And the fact they got a turnaround and they've got fixes for the 12 actually is commendable. It is impressive. It means that they've been working very closely with Sony to figure out what the hell's going on. However, that it's still not enough, and we'll have to cover that. Anyway, go ahead. I keep jumping in.
Sorry, one second.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Just on that note of people not understanding the whole development world. I mean, it's like any job. Like even with my job, it's looking on the outside, looking in. Is you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, you don't know unless you do that work. You can talk all you want, but it don't matter. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes and how hard it is to deal with certain things.
Yeah, and Assyrian's over here like, did you notice that Ben looked tired yesterday?
He looked tired. And I don't like I'm rooting, like I say, like people are like, you should stop rooting for this game. It's like, no man, I can't root against devs. I don't root against fail. I don't root for people to fail.
Not against these devs either, because they just seem to be the hardest working devs that I've seen.
They need that constructive criticism, and then but it's like you wrap it up and like with the kind of that respect, and it's gonna fuel them. Like they like I think that they're being fueled by the people who really want this game to succeed. And it shows they're killing themselves, and I'm hopeful that this is something that they kind of gets buttoned up. But there's a big but in this one. Continue on the news. There's so much to talk about. Like
there's a ton of them. So yeah, then there's one that Ben was frustrated on. I don't know this one too much because I'm not a PC player, but mouse button 4 was no longer forcibly bound to back button. So apparently it was bound to back button on PC, so you couldn't key bind it because that's technically Ben's push to talk button. I don't know what it is on other people's. So that one's getting fixed, and there was a solution on Reddit too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Problems respawning, which we talked about behind the wall. I knew of a couple ways. Usually on the right-hand side, there was usually an open spot that you could dash through, or if your Colossus bounce off the wall. I posted that one when I found that bug. Go out. It was funny.
No, you're good.
Yeah, the ultimate ability bar has been fixed. So that was where whenever you load into a mission, the bar looked yellow, but it wasn't glowing. So you thought you had the ultimate and you're like snapping the button, like I have an ultimate. It says it right there. But of course,
you be in the thick of it. And you're like, okay, guys, I'm ready for it. Because he's like, I never saw it when it first came in. It was always when I was in the thick. I was like, oh, good. I got my ultimate. It's not working.
Yeah.
Like, oh God. Like I ran in to come in and I expected that I was going to heal myself, be invincible, and I am dead.
And I hope that's not like a thing, because there's one thing I want with the widget is like them to add an ultimate bar too, so we can sync up ultimates onto bosses.
Oh, yes, that'd be good. That would be good from the party member. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As well as abilities would be really neat, but that'd be, I don't know how crazy of a mess that would be on there. And then they found most of these sound cut issues that we talked about. I mean, I had more of them actually just during the demo. I really didn't have a ton of them during the actual game launch. Yeah, because I think they fixed a ton of them before early access. I'm sure had some. I heard some on some streams, but I'm pretty sure they fixed quite a few of those. At least the ones that I had encountered there. Health bar glitch. I know he tweeted about this one.
Mm-hmm, he did.
There is actually not just a UI issue. It's something else. Entitled, we don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah. I saw Reddit kind of go nuts because he was thinking it was like just a UI issue, and then they're like, no, it is not. It's tested. You do not have more life. It cuts your life down. And so then he tweeted about like, oh no, guys, you're right. It is, and we are working on that there. So they were working on it actively. I'm hopeful they get it in for the 12th.
I'm betting that's tied to a piece of gear or maybe an inscription that pops up somehow in the coding.
Something.
So yeah, they're looking into a fix on that one. Hopefully they can get that into the next patch, but it might not be until the next one after that. Combat abilities that don't have item scaling like melee and ultimates, they are scaling. So now melee abilities and ultimates are going to be stronger at GM2 and GM3 because they're going to scale properly, which along comes with they're actually going to scale the Masterworks from 45 up to 61 to scale properly with the damage number that they're looking at.
I also see with the number increase, that gives more opportunity for them to drop those Masterworks. That, you know, so it's not like, oh, I went from, 36 to 45 or something like that. It's like, oh, they can have a masterwork at 40, 45, 50, so they could actually give us a little bit more drops.
Initially was, scaling for the.
Well, they already had it that way too, because I remember I was level 22 whenever when the Derby Giants event started. I was like level 22, 23. And I got a masterwork off one of those giants. This is my first masterwork, was off that giants. And it was like it wasn't a full
23?
Yeah,
wow. Yeah, like I got a masterwork around I think 26. And the thing that I've talked to, and I was talking with like Zoila about this, it's just that I wish that there was a quest like around 12 or 13 that introduced you to like a masterwork weapon that you could pick. That way you get to experience some of that really quickly in the game, because like I didn't start seeing them until after I cleared the critical path. So it's kind of like, like that would have been like the one change I would have made.
Shiny.
Well, exactly, because it's like, and then you don't see them for another 10 levels, but you still have this like this epic crazy weapon that you are like, well, should I, anyway, just my thought.
It's my thought that they need to change the uncommon color too when it pops out of the box, because it looks exactly like a legendary.
Well, with the fix that they're taking away those from when you're level 30, they don't need to anymore.
Don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. That's the other fix. Like, just we don't need them.
The Mav over here getting all excited. Ooh, piece of candy.
I saw one. I was like from a distance, you're like,
so many times that you just like, that looked like a legend. Now I'm just like, I'm just gonna wait till I see the pop in on the UI.
Yeah.
No, it's just uncommon. Don't care about it anymore.
Hope scrap.
Yeah, it's basically a salvage at that point. At least the epics, it means something at that point.
Right.
Well, technically, not unless you have a full masterwork build, then it technically doesn't mean anything. Unless you're going like a nightmare over there with his double double damage on fire and electric.
Yeah.
I know we talked about, so of course nobody was using the wind wall and the bulwark point for the Ranger and Storm because they weren't worth the whenever.
Yeah,
sorry.
they were just.
They
All
were
right,
worth
make a
it.
note, Brian. Like 10:30. Like, well, I have to edit that for the YouTube.
I totally get that because I do a quickening field all the time on my Storm
Yeah,
because
I was like, man, I like wind wall, but it was like it just you put it up and it's done.
it's basically it protects you from one shot or one flurry from a hunter, and you're like, okay, it's done. XP beyond level 30 is currently useful for Alliance, nothing else. Yeah, so this been talked about since the beginning. They're going to look into something on XP, and I'm hoping
that's the advanced progression, which is either coming in the April update or the May update, where they're talking about like, and they're not ready to talk about it, but that's where like anything that like keeps XP relevant keeps all of what you're doing relevant, and even if it's like just cosmetic and it's just some fake number that just keeps increasing from a pair, like but in this game because it's PvE, they could easily do a Paragon system that it's like, okay, cool, like I'm gonna add, and then you can spec out pilot trees or something. They could do anything they want. I'm excited to figure out what the hell that is.
I'm just hoping it applies to
stuff
coins.
they can do. I'm excited.
Oh, coins would be nice. Yeah, some kind of.
Because even a hardcore grinder player like me, like you would still have difficulty getting the armor. If they put an armor set out every feature, that's 61,000 coin, that'd be really difficult to hit. So if they can implement something to where either whenever the armor set hits the feature floor, that they keep it in the game, so it's something to work towards, or they need to actually bring in to where you can advance coin through playing the game over and over XP build.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like there was a lot, you earned a lot of coin through playing the critical path, and there's definitely ways to do it as a part of your weeklies, but like all in all, like it feels like it's slowed down pretty dramatically, and having that attached to it, having that level,
haven't noticed, if you
just,
also haven't noticed, there's only so many people for your alliance that you can earn coins from. So you only earn a maximum of
5. Yeah.
Yeah. You're only earning like right at 6K coins a week if everybody maxes out tiers.
The way that it gets done too, though, is that like if they have with the guild system and with all that, there's like, I'm hoping that they bring in like all these different things, bring in more ways to actually earn that coin. It's always exciting when I see it drop out of a chest and stuff like it exists other ways, but yeah, I'm with you 100%. Like that could be, just like here's your little level up treasure chest. Here's some coin. Here's some crafting materials. Like it doesn't have to be like mind-blowingly amazing, but even if it had the chance to drop a piece of gear,
but it adds up. That's it
adds up. Well, it keeps that relevant. It keeps that working and working and working. So that's exciting.
Keep you giving something to keep doing things to earn more.
We don't know what's in the Elysium chest too.
True.
They could add coin in there as well, which would be awesome.
I agree.
Then there's another one, Gunslinger's Mark, for all those Storm builders out there. Was too OP. Basically, you would dash and you would get additional 60%, I think, weak point damage. It was the original number. And I totally forgot about this, that Ben had tweeted it. So I had finally gotten that Masterwork item, and I added it on, and I was like, why is this, when I dash, it completely, because it stacks on each other. So you just see them start popping down. I'm like, oh, crap, this is a bug. And then I realized, oh, wait, Ben's already discussed this. That's why it's at 0% now. So that's going to be fixed, and the stats should be back up in the next patch. And they're looking into the Ranger because they feel it's underperforming. I've had a lot of fun with the Ranger. I can go take on a Titan, throw a sticky grenade at it, and it'll completely stop what it's doing every single time. So I don't know what the issue that people are talking about there.
So I think it ends up being when they look at the breakout of what people are playing and enjoying. It's obviously the Storm, the Colossus, and the Interceptor. So it's like, how can you make Ranger more, viable? And it comes down to, I think it's fun. I've done 2 Storms, and so I want to go play around with the Ranger some
You need
more.
to break off to a different class.
Yeah, at some point. Like at some point, once I can start getting some legendaries, I think that's where it's gonna be. That's where it's gonna be for me.
And then they talked about Colossus Shield. You're now able to charge through destructive objects. You no longer get stopped or bounced off them. So that's a cool one for the Colossus builds out there.
Boy. He needs that. Yeah, absolutely.
And you can now prime Titans, as we saw on the stream yesterday. Jesse was using the flamethrower, and you could see it priming the Titan. But of course, it's an Ash Titan, so it's going to be like an instant. So because anything with that same elemental, it doesn't stay primed for a long time.
Yeah,
because they're very highly resistant. Another Storm thing, Mark of Ruin is now functioning properly. I don't know if this one, I actually use this one on my Fire and Ice build, so I'm not sure how it wasn't working properly. I don't know if you noticed anything on that.
Nope.
No, it
No.
seemed to be proccing. It seemed to be additional damage every time it hit, but I have like so many different things proccing at the same time. I didn't really test it out, but apparently it's going to work properly, and you'll have that. If you didn't know what it was, it's basically the property states that when you use LB on consoles or whatever it is, L1, it'll recharge RB, and then damage is increased by 20% for 20 seconds. So it's a tit for tat kind of ability change.
Yeah, you go left and right, you bounce and bounce, and then you get one to go to the other side, and you just back and forth, which
you're doing already naturally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grenadier component wasn't working properly. Apparently, it wasn't allowing the cooldown. So now you'll have the actual cooldown, and there's really a ton of other fixes that we don't even know about. We'll find out when the patch notes go live, which they said should be on the actual day of Tuesday, on the day, so or hopefully comes out.
That will happen on the 12th. The patch goes live on the 12th, and then I guess people will go out and test it and see what's working, what's not. It'll be fun.
Yeah. And Avenging Herald won't be buffed. They're looking into other guns buffing, but Avenging Herald will not be buffed. Ben was like, no, my friend. No.
Same thing not getting buffed is the autocannon, which is they said all the masterwork weapons are getting buffed, but the autocannon is not.
Dude, there was a god roll that was on Twitter, 250% physical damage plus the weapon. It was another gear was 120% damage, something like that.
That's
complete
insane.
God roll, because you get 100% in the magazine plus 100% damage on
you
that.
Just go. Like, oh my gosh, that I bet. Oh, I wish I'm waiting for a god roll. I have not got any. I got one that was like 2% increase. I was like, I'll take it because it's better than what I got.
And they're hearing feedback regarding changes in the store. They're just trying to figure out how they want to implement it. So of course they're talking about. They're just not ready to discuss it publicly yet.
Yeah.
And then, like, in summary, they're aware of all the crash reports that they identified. They have a whole strike team that was talking to Sony to try to get everything fixed. And then, nevertheless, they're looking into the fixes. And all the fixes that they did find should come into this next patch on March 12th.
Yeah, the big ones for, like, me that I was excited to hear is the quick play fix, the respawn restrictions. I was hoping more for, like, a ping in a way that it's like, hey, you need a res. But having it kind of set to 30 seconds seems to be nice, because even when I was playing last night, it's like, oh, you're down. Like it's hard sometimes to even, I was even with my friend with voice, and the only reason I knew that he went down is he told me, and I wasn't able to visually see. So having that 30 seconds of, hey, check it out, like you can come back now if somebody doesn't get to you, that's going to be hugely important.
That'd be nice in the strongholds too.
Absolutely. And yeah, so the 12th, that's important. That's exciting. That seems like forever away, especially if you're a PlayStation 4 player. And so you've got like, if you're pretty much doing that, if you're sitting here saying, okay, I gotta wait until the 12th before it's not going to shut down my system, and then in the case that it has to then rebuild the database, people are still, no matter what, afraid that it could hurt their system. They did say no systems were actually bricked. So if that is not true, and if somebody out there is like, that's not true, it happened to me, like, you need to make sure you're working with EA help to get that fixed and corrected. But in their investigation, nothing was actually bricked. However, that panic is still there. That news is still present, and the reality of it has it's going to take a long time to disseminate it. I guarantee that in 6 months, somebody's gonna be like, hey, wasn't this the game that was breaking PlayStations back when it launched? Is it okay to come back in? So that's why I kind of released the video yesterday, kind of saying it's not enough. At some point, they need to prioritize fixing these issues, making sure that the game is stable and runs great on all platforms. But then they're going to have to do a lot of work to either re-earn the trust or re-invite people back in. I don't know when that day comes. I don't know if that's with the Act 1 update. Is that with the Part 2 or Part 3, some point in this period? But I honestly believe that they need to figure out what it is. And it could be some in-game coin. It could be some, like, like here's an emote and here's this and this. Kind of like, hey, you were here by this date. You were in. Come back and check out, this stuff that we're going to give you for free to welcome you back and see what's all changed. What are your thoughts? I'm going to toss to Nightmare because Sir Mav's been doing the news, and then I want to get Sir Mav's perspective on what I just kind of shared. So Nightmare, are you there?
I think we have to go take care of a kid.
Okay, well then let's go Sir Mav. That's why we go with
I was gonna say I agree on that. I mean, they should compensate, especially PS4 players that are having these crazy issues going on, and in some form manner, because they did the same thing. They did the same thing with the Anthem VIP demo. If you're there, if you logged in, you had issues that were going on and experiences, then you got a free vinyl. So yeah, they should do something in some way. I don't think it's like should be a drastic thing. But
it doesn't need to be drastic. It just needs to be something to kind of invite players back. But it has to happen after the game is stable across all platforms. Like, the shutting down the system bug. Like, if the game crashes for 1/100th of the population randomly on occasion, that's not an issue. It's like, okay, come back in. And ideally, they don't want that happening whatsoever. But then we talk about all the different architectures they're on. I mean, just from a technology perspective, it really is a complex, and it's a miracle just of video games and how we were able to do what we do with them. But that being said, it just needs to be, I don't know. I don't know if it's the April update. Like, it depends. Like, if the game is stable, they have all this new stuff that it's like, hey, guys, we know that, you bought this game. Come back and check it out in April or May or whenever that date is, and you're going to get, I think it'd be kind of fun to have them do an emote, especially if let's say you're taking off to the 12th, right? Let's say right now, like, I'm worried about playing on a PlayStation 4. I'm not, but I'm just saying if I was, and that means that if I miss out on the store stuff, like, okay, well, can I, and that, if that remote doesn't come back in, could I, like, that would be something in my mind that would be a nice thing a nice
I think
way
that would
to
be
apologize.
a nice touch and compensation.
Yeah,
I think so for sure. Especially emotes are probably some of the coolest cosmetics in the game. The vinyl decals, I mean, they're all right, but you can't change color to them, so it's really not beneficial to everybody.
Yeah.
Emote is beneficial in any such way or form because they're just fun to use in a social aspect and just when you're out and about in the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, welcome back. So we're talking about PlayStation and the issue there, and kind of some way of compensation when it comes down to when the game's stable, because because they say they've addressed like the top issues of why it's happening. To me, that doesn't say that means that they're giving themselves room in case it still happens, right? But being that it's not breaking systems, but still bring that people believe that it is, that's going to be on them. What do you think? Bioware EA needs to do for the community once the game's stable? Nightmare, what do you think?
I mean, obviously cosmetics are always a easy thing to give, like the vinyls like they gave for the VIP, but like maybe a special armor that may be exclusive to PS4, like some kind of like armor that's exclusive to, hey, we're sorry that this happened. I mean, obviously you could give them like Masterworks or Legendaries or something to compensate, but cosmetics would always be easier.
Yeah, and they last longer because you're going to replace like any kind of gear that you get.
The premium currency. I mean, they could always give them that as compensation.
That ends up being to where you get to pick whatever the heck you want, right?
That's true.
That ends up being that is, I think, probably the best thing they could do. Like come back, check us out in April. You've got 1,000 shards, which can get you 2 emotes and some whatever. Like go forward and have thank you very much for your.
Pick whatever you want. Exactly.
Go for, or it gets you like an armor set, so you could pick 1 armor set or 2 emotes or something like that. I think that seems to be the right way. Obviously, when it's ready, and that brings me to the other point. Like I had my expectations. I think I've set them correctly. People are like, "Why are you paying for a beta?" It's like they legally can't call it a beta, but it does feel like that. Like these are issues that should have been found, should have been patched, should have been addressed. They didn't ever really have an open beta. They went to demo. As a fan of the game, I think it's always fun because it's like people are like, oh yeah, like you're just promoting the game. It's like you just think everything's great with it. It's like no, like we could talk about the crap within it. As a fan, I think that literally the biggest frustration comes down to how they were planned on rolling it out. And I was even worried about this, and we talked about this in the podcast back in like October. Was like, delay it if it's not ready, or launch it into beta. I don't know what the legal requirements are with that. Like I don't know like how that is structured, and I think legally, I guess they can't launch into a kind of a paid beta. But that's essentially what this is. They're never going to call it that. They're never going to do that. And so I'm not bothered by it because mentally I set that expectation. Like there's going to be problems.
It seems to me like an early access thing, just like PUBG was when it launched. Like here's the game, except we're paying a full price for it. Is all.
Matt.
I think you're looking at it too. You're going to experience that probably with a lot of live service games that are coming into play nowadays. I mean, they're never always going to be completely finished, but that's kind of the whole point. They're giving you that initial game, giving the core gameplay mechanics, they're giving you some of the content, and then what the future holds is unlimited. But you're helping build that future. Your feedback, like all the changes that they're making is from feedback from the community. As far as adding the widget, as far as the changes that are coming into play in this next patch, it's all from the community's feedback and addressing the issues that are coming into play. Yes, there are bugs. I totally agree with that. And I'm not going to downgrade them in any way that they are harmful, especially to the PlayStation community. But with that said, I mean, they've been doing a great job. They've been transparent. They've been telling everything how it is, and they're getting to it as quickly as humanly possible. And that's the thing that people don't understand with these games. I mean, I'm not a full game developer. I don't know everything on the pattern, but I understand it by talking to these guys, how it works, and talking to other devs from other games. It's a strenuous process and getting everything tested, and you're not truly going to understand what's going on in the build that you're putting out to the public until the public actually gets its hands on it.
There's no one like point of like, here's one expert that knows every piece of the game, because these teams are so large. But perception is still the reality, and so that's where like my heart as a developer myself goes out to these guys. Like, I am rooting for them. I know they are in the thick of it. They've been working hard through Christmas, through the holidays, through this, and it's like I want like when the PlayStation thing was especially crushing, because it's like people are actively wanting to play your game, and now they're afraid of it. They're afraid because it's like if all they can afford is one system, even though it's not bricking it, it doesn't matter. They have heard that it is. They're worried about it. Okay, let's So I think that the best thing we can do as fans is A, tell it how it is, because people we're playing the game, we're having a good time. A, we're aware there's issues. B, continue to both send good positive feedback and support for these devs. They need to hear it. They need to hear what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, but in a package of something that's not like, hateful and toxic and things like that. You can be critical and still be a decent human being.
And I think that's the whole point too. You want to be, you shouldn't just go onto the hate train and say this game is dead, Satan is dead. You need to provide constructive feedback. If you truly want this game to be better, as with any game, you should provide the constructive feedback that's going to make the game better, that's going to bring more players, that's going to allow you to have fun. Because that's the whole point of why we're gamers. We're looking to have fun and the experience of playing with other people and in this world.
Go ahead, Wes. Go ahead.
The whole issue nowadays is most people are looking at games as games. They're not looking at them as games as services. This is a whole new concept. And
is it new though? I mean, we've got it. Games as a service of the evolution of MMO.
We've got a lot that are like that, yes. But your general, like the MMO side of things, that's their own community. These are games that are launching to the gaming community as a whole. I mean, MMOs have always been more of a niche kind of game anyways. You've got people who are FPS players. You've got people who are RTS players. I mean, you've got people coming from all other games who are coming to these games to try them. And the games that they're used to are finished games when they get them.
Right.
And most games are trying to launch as games as a service. And you're going to have bugs, you're going to have issues, and it's going to get better over time. But everybody sees the AAA title. They are expecting a AAA
experience. Well, I think
experience at launch. But I mean,
expectations are the real key word that everybody's saying. It's that a lot of I think the negative is people are expecting like a single player Bioware driven experience, and then it's like, wait a minute, it's not. Like this is something different. However, I think it's something better. Like this is by far the most fun I've had with a game in a long time. Like I
enjoy the game. I'm loving the game. On the business side of things, like just from like the business I'm in, like it's there's quality things and there's all that, but at the end of the day, like most businesses I've worked for, it's numbers. You have to get these out by a certain time frame. You've got a time crunch.
Yeah.
They don't care to hear excuses. They just want their numbers by the time. And that's just what it comes down to from the publisher's side of things. They just want their money, their investment back as soon as possible. So they're wanting the product out by a certain time frame. And a lot of times that causes issues. I mean, it does. But it gets worked out in the long run. But people get all mad, and it's everybody. I mean, it's every publisher, not just EA, not just Ubisoft. I mean, it's all publishers are the same.
What's going to be interesting historically whenever it happens is when a game as a service launches without issues. Like whenever that happens and it sets a precedence that this doesn't have to keep happening, that's where everything gets measured. I don't think it should be excused, but I think we need to keep voicing our opinion, and we're building the game along with them. Like they're wanting to build the game that we want to play. And I think that's where when people, the other side of the coin is that as a community, we also have to be careful not to shoot down ideas, even if we don't like them. Like I think all ideas can lead. It might not be implemented, but like as a brainstorming exercise.
If all ideas got shot down,
you stop sharing
immediately. Then they stop sharing and wind up with a game that just
minority, the vocal minority wants. And so like we got to be diligent on make sure to highlight all ideas, because it's not that they need to implement all ideas, but in a brainstorming session, you throw everything against the board, because even the craziest idea, we could say like, I want a javelin that, that can, I don't know, travel up to the moon. Like, well, why do you want that? Like, but that silly idea could lead to like, oh man, what if we like that unlocks, like you start breaking down these barriers that, your brain builds up when you're thinking creatively. Anyway, like as somebody who's like very into creative thought, it's like it always irks me when we see like somebody's like, oh, I thought this would be kind of interesting, and everybody's like, that would suck because of all these, you didn't think through this, and the numbers, and that has to be 2%, not 1%, you moron. It's like, no, guys, like just like let's get them the feedback, let's let them digest the feedback, and then present their work to the community. And I think what we were already seeing that, like one of the things that gives me hope when we talk about can this game recover from this rocky launch, I think what gives me hope is that the effort, the turnaround, the investigation. I want there not to be these like crashing bugs, because I want them to be focusing in on quality of life and content. But they have to fix the bugs first. And so once we can get past that, and they can focus, hopefully still focusing on the quality of life and content. That's what I want. I want more of.
I'm very glad to see that they are focusing on getting the bugs and the issues fixed. And they're not just like, hey, we've got the new expansion coming out next week.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going to happen too if you add that new content with those other bugs going into play. I mean, you got to fix those first.
You got to fix the existing bugs. If you don't, then the new content comes in and it introduces new bugs that may conflict on a more serious level with the older bugs. I mean,
the bugs that I don't mind are like, oh, this gun is overpowered, or oh, this gun or this skill is underpowered. That's fine. But it's the like, oh, this this glitch, this cut out the odd, like it's those are what I would define as critical bugs, because they impact the experience. Like, oh, that gun is overpowered, and then they nerfed it. Like, okay, well now this gun is the new hotness, right?
I mean, that's always going to be a thing. There's always going to be, because when you nerf one thing, you might accidentally slip up with a code and make something else fantastic. But I don't care about the guns. I don't care about that, oh, this gun's too powerful, blah, blah, blah. I want to see crashes being fixed. I want to see people be unable to play the game and enjoy it.
Yeah. Consistently.
I've been able to enjoy it. I mean, I've been enjoying it. I haven't run into that many of the game breaking issues. And like we said, I've ran into the noise issue a few times, but I mean, it's a simple fix, and it's not really that, it's not game breaking.
Yeah.
Whereas,
have you run into the pink world yet?
Run into the what?
Pink world.
The pink world.
Pink world. No, I don't think I've ran into that one yet.
So, so here's the thing. I'm going to go around the horn. We're going to start with Sir Matt. We'll come to you, Nightmare. Is that as the question that this podcast is trying to answer? Can they recover? So the question that really it should be phrased is, what's the critical path forward for Bioware and this game?
I think exactly where they're headed already. I mean, fix the bugs, which they're already doing. They're doing that consistently. They're looking into it as they're being reported, and that's also up to us as a community to report those bugs and to see how much of a dire issue it actually is.
Mm-hmm. What percentage is actually really impacted, and what percentage is bandwagon, and what percentage is over? Like I'm not going to subscribe anybody to bandwagoning until we know that, like, okay, until we have numbers, 1%. 1.1%, like what percentage of the population is hit by it, because then that tells you like, okay, well, if all the data shows that like this percentage of people, then we know that the thousands of people saying like, oh, it's impacted me, it's like, has it? Because there is essentially people who are rooting for the failure of the game, and then you have to, man, that kind of noise, I couldn't imagine what they're hearing, because if they have to chase down every lead and people are just like, oh yeah, it failed on me when I was doing this, and it's like, we can't reproduce it. Like how many resources are we wasting tracing down people who just want to see the game die?
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have any other thoughts, Sir Mav, on the critical path forward?
No, I mean that's basically what it is, and they're already doing it. I mean, fix the bugs that are causing issues with a bunch of players, which they're already doing, and then also make sure we can implement the content at a timely basis that they've already put into the roadmap that they're planning forward.
Mm-hmm. Wes, what's a critical path? What's their what's their pathway forward?
Like Mav said, I mean, just keep staying focused on getting the bugs fixed, and don't try to, everybody cries for content, but I mean, don't try to overload the game with it before bugs have been fixed. Just stay focused on making the game playable, make the game enjoyable, where people can play it and enjoy the content that you are making. Mm-hmm. And just stay transparent like they have been. I mean, they're doing a really good job of staying transparent and letting the community know, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're working on. Mm-hmm. These are the issues we found, and we're working on it. I mean, as long as they stay like this, I mean, I feel like the game could be great. Yeah. Like, it's great now, and just in a year's time, it's awesome. In 2 years, 3 years, I mean, Absolutely. We'll see how it goes. As long as they stay on top of things.
So it's simple. It comes down to, for me, the critical pathway forward is we had to see what happens on the 12th. Like, the 12th is going to be a big critical day, whether it really addresses it. No matter what, I think that there's still going to be problems and issues. The next date is, I'm assuming, is the 26th. We're saying at the end of March is when Act 1 officially kicks off with the kind of the reality, update 1. And then the next real critical point is obviously the second update. Second update, which is targeting guilds and leaderboards. And if they can address by then the XP, at cap, they can address like the leaderboards and bring in like more ways to do the content. And then that would be really critical from there. Sounds like the kids just got home.
Wanted to say hi.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, Dad, I see you're doing a podcast. Let's cry." So I'm gonna throw either Wes or Sir Mav. Go ahead while Annie gets settled from returning home. I'll let you guys just kind of riff for a minute. Well, here's the question: what, like, either critical path or what are your March plans?
So March plans for now, after this podcast, I'm going to start finishing up my Anthem review. It's already written up. I just got to record it. And then I got to build this PC and get it all set up so I can actually do some crazy stuff with it. So build videos coming next week, starting with the Storm. I think you are going to like that one.
For me, it's going to be working on, because I want to get I want to start making some videos for Anthem. So I'm wanting to get builds done for Colossus. I'm mostly going to focus on it for a little bit, get some build videos for Colossus out there, and probably start working on Interceptor once I feel good of where Colossus is at.
And for me, I'm working on the Path of Valor, and I really, after the 12th, I think I'm going to start sprinting on those quick plays. But what we heard, in chat was that maybe normal isn't having those problems with quick plays, so I'm going to have to go test that out and give that a go and see how it actually works, because I like to start making progress on all that, because the quick play tossing you into the different stuff should be pretty interesting.
Definitely tweet that out whenever you find out if it's
if it is. Like, if I'm like not having any problems on normal, I don't know how well like that's going to impact everybody, because it's like, all right, if you really want the Grandmaster, and especially the opportunity for loot, like what's your objective? Is your objective to knock them out, or is your objective going for the loot? And that's going to be where that's split.
You got to look at active kindness though too, because under normal you're going to be helping out story missions under quick play too. So you're going to be helping other people on the critical path.
That's true. I'm going to go in and freaking wreck. Like.
Oh yeah, you did. Trust me. Last weekend I was helping Roche. He was starting. He's like at level 4, and I was playing with him, and it was just like ground stomping everything, and it was hilarious. Even though
I need to get, because you're on PC, I need to get Roche's origin tag so we can continue to build out the alliance. And
yes.
Then, and so my last thought on kind of like I said I was working on, my critical path though I think still includes crossplay. If they can come
crossplay definitely needs to happen.
By the end of by Act 2, if crossplay is a thing, like that invites a ton of people back. Like that's the thing I've talked about with Destiny, which is going on with their Season of the Drifter right now, which just launched, and it's like, okay, like I'm not yet invited back because I have the game. I got it for free on PC because of the, they're like, Battle.net was promoting that. But and then I never picked up whatever, Forsaken. But it's, it's like, if they could come in and bring in some crossplay, if they could bring in some of these things to unite the community, that is very tempting. So when I've said people are like, what would bring you back to Destiny? And I've always said crossplay. And I would think that I haven't left this game. I don't anticipate it because it's like I'm just having a blast with it. But what would really, I think, also invite people back would still also be kind of looped up into that, where it's like, hey, by the way, like the community, let's not have these walls that separate us. Boom, critical path. That's a feature that is game changing in my mind. And
they've already stated that one. That one's already been implemented in the game. They are ready. It's just up to the companies themselves to
I wouldn't say companies.
Well, company.
Yeah, company. Turns out, all right, guys, conspiracy theory. All the PlayStation crap is because Sony won't play ball. That's not true whatsoever. Exactly. But that's the.
It's going to be all over Reddit. It's going to be clickbait radio now.
Yep, it's going to be
clickbait radio. I don't understand what clickbait means. I saw the video and I disagree. It must be clickbait. Anyway, I shouldn't make fun of people who don't understand definitions. Sorry, this is how I roll.
Here comes a meme.
Here comes a meme. Oh my God! Don't clip that.
Radio.
Don't clip. Nobody clip that, please.
Clip it, download it, re-upload.
Now that somebody's gonna clip it because you said don't.
Okay. I forgot how the internet works. The internet works off that reverse logic. It is the 4-year-old. Oh,
just remember.
Do not clean up that mess. Oh, I'm going to clean up that mess.
Exactly. just remember, if somebody clips something, they can go and download said clip. And
I don't know how clipping works, so
you can't download it from Twitch, but there's a website that allows you to download clips into an MP4 form.
All right,
without it being actually.
So we talked about our March plans. We talked about the critical path. We talked about the news. We've covered everything under the sun. This has been actually a critical thing. But in chat right now, before we kind of wrap up the show, Mr. Brody's asking, would you recommend this game to a Destiny/Path of Exile player? I'm going to go around the horn. Yeah, I do agree. It's cross-plays with every game. Would you recommend this right now to a player who's coming to check it out? Let's start with Wes. Wes, you had.
I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're a Path of Exile player, because it has a very similar loot system to that. I mean, it's basically like a mixture of your class system of Destiny and gunplay with the looting and such of like Path of Exile and Diablo. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely recommend it if you enjoy those kinds of games, because it's definitely fun. The looting's fun. And once they improve it some more and give you options like Path of Exile and Diablo has, I could definitely see it. One thing I would ask for later in the game is basically a Kanai's Cube from Diablo, where you can re-roll your legendaries or your masterworks for better rolls with using crafting materials. Once they add that the looting progression would be
nightmares reading my mind right now.
Yep. I mean, when we talk about whether the re-roll or a way to level up your weapon and do different things to it would be kind of cool too. It's anything that allows me to fill up bars with XP. I'm drawn to that.
Basically, that's what Diablo 3 did, was they added in the Kanai's Cube later in the game, and you take crafting materials and stuff like that and farm these different materials, and then you can just go to the cube and let's say you have this awesome legendary that you like, but the stats on it suck. You can just go and re-roll it and keep farming mats until you get the perfect roll, basically.
And see, I was looking at it more of the essence of Division 1. I guess I'm kind of spoiled in that sense. They had a re-rolling device on there, and basically with gear sets or any higher tier gear, you could roll 2 different stats on your gear. I don't mind if they just allowed us to roll 1 to get it closer to that god roll status that we want. Because I mean, even when I was working on recrafting 10,000 Suns, I mean, the rolls that were coming up, I mean, RNG is still brutal no matter which way since you put it. Really is. So, I mean, that's my answer. What was the other question that we were going into?
It's would you recommend this game?
To a Destiny 2 Diablo type player. Got it. Yes. And this is on the essence of, because I know a bunch of Path of Exile, Diablo 3 people, and Destiny players that have come to this game and are having a ton of fun. It's kind of the same. It's just a mixture of everything into one. So if you like any of those games, I mean, you'll definitely have fun. Yes, there have been bugs. Yes, there have been issues. We're not talking down on them. But no matter with the issues, with the bugs, I mean, I can't speak for all of us here, but we've all had a great time playing the game, playing with friends, and matchmaking with randoms.
I wish I was playing now. Screw you guys.
Right.
You were playing before this stream.
I know.
Exactly.
I was like, wait a minute. I've got 30 minutes. I can get a couple missions in. This is going to be good.
It's like, I got
yes, ultimately, yes, I would recommend the game still even more, and it's just going to get better as they add in more content and fix all these issues.
So for me, to answer the question, I would not recommend this game unless you know absolutely everything that's going on with it in regards to the issues right now. Now, after March 12th, that could easily change. I think that I would encourage you looking at some of the negative reviews and what people are saying about it. I would encourage you, obviously you're checking out, if you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure it out, I would encourage you to see some gameplay, go check a live stream out and get some kind of feedback. The gameplay, the moment to moment is fantastic. I think the team behind this game and what they've built is amazing. I'm definitely, I do not regret my purchase. I did not regret the time that I spent in it, and I'm looking forward to spending even more time in this game. But once the 12th comes, well, this could change. But that right now, to anybody, like, especially to Mr. Brody, but to anybody, like, go look at what don't go in here expecting that you're going to have the perfect experience. You got to set your expectations right. While this is not being called a beta, think of it as such. Think of it with that mentality, and you're going to have a great time. That way, if you run into an error, or if you want to help make this game the coolest thing, so that by the time this fall rolls around, you feel like you actually have a piece of the land, like this world, this bastion, you have a piece of Fort Tarsis because, like, you provided feedback, you were there at the front lines. If you're that kind of player, you're going to have a blast. But set your expectations right. Don't go in it blind thinking that you're not going to run into an audio bug. Don't go in blind that you're not going to get randomly kicked out of a mission. And if you got buddies, like, this is such a great game to play with your friends. I cannot recommend it enough. But I cannot yet recommend this game because most people don't want that. They want that polished experience for $60. And that's not what this is right now, if that makes any kind of sense. So that's where I fall. I cannot recommend it enough, and I cannot recommend it.
I was gonna say, can you actually call it beta, because isn't Fortnite still in beta?
Fortnite is still in beta. Fortnite is still in beta, and I think the legal thing they do that. It's smart. It's smart, and I don't know what the legal. It's got to be a legal requirement because they're selling you a product versus Fortnite. They're selling you a product, but they're not. There's no upfront costs, so they get around it. They tag beta. Anything that goes wrong, they're like, it's a beta. And that's where I was like, they just need to legally change how these games launch and say, we're launching into beta. Your progress will carry over into the main game. Things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go right. And you're going to help us. If you're that kind of player who's along for that ride, you're good. But people expect that. And it's more, and I think it comes into marketing PR, because a normal player isn't actively, like, listening to Anthem Free Radio. They're not they're like, oh, they're not okay. What's going to happen here? They're like, oh, this is a Bioware game. I'm excited. I love the last one, or whatever. And then they come in, they're like, oh, what's wrong? Like, why are there so many problems? And then they move on. And the trick would be is that, how do they, how do you manage that? Because I have to believe that it's more expensive to get that player to come back for a second impression down the road. I have to think it costs more money to do that. I could be wrong.
For me, to be honest, like, with the whole beta thing or early access, a lot of people hate on the whole early access term. But for me, I've had quite a few games that I have played from early access stages, namely one in particular named Elite Dangerous. And the game and the community and everything about it, like from the time it was in early access to it made it to full launch, the game has turned into a very growing system unto itself. And same thing for, like, Ark, Survival Evolved. I mean, a lot of people got mad when it launched, and it launched at a $60 price tag once it was full game. But, I mean, the whole early access thing just makes it where if there's bugs, they can fix them. And it's not that big of a deal because it's labeled as early access. It's not going to get bashed on as much. You're also not going to, if you're in the early access portion, you're not paying a full $60 price tag for the game.
Yeah.
You're paying 15 or 30 or what have you. And then whenever it fully launches, other new players may pay full price, but as early access and dealing with the bugs, you get it for cheaper.
Yeah, I just want to re-clarify just in case that was a bit confusing where I recommend but don't recommend. I recommend the game if you're going in with the right expectation and knowing that there are actual bugs that you could experience. So, if you're going in thinking like you're going to have a pristine experience, I wouldn't recommend that game to you because you're going to only be frustrated at that point. If you're going in saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm here. It's gonna be interesting. I might run into some issues," then you'll be fine. And then if you've got friends that are all part of it, it doesn't matter. Like I just play with my buddies. We're all having a good time. I'm playing with SurMav on Xbox, a couple other guys playing on PC with a bunch of guys, having a blast. Continue to do this. I played with Destin Liguri the other day. That was really fun. Played on GM2. Was not rewarding enough.
I gotta
was
get
not
it for
rewarding
Xbox.
enough.
It's not rewarding enough.
Like, and that's where it's like when it comes down to they're looking for feedback on how to make GM2, GM3 more rewarding. And so my experience was like, yeah, we cleared it, but I only got one masterwork. It's like it should, like, for the difficulty, for the time investment, like it's got to pay out more. Otherwise, why do it? Like that. And same thing with GM3. Like, you got to answer the why are you here? And the thing is that if I get a guaranteed legendary, if guaranteed legendaries are there in GM3, we're there. We're there. Like, we'll fight through it because that's going to force that kind of thing. So.
The guy finds the bugs and see how far I can break the game.
There you go.
Well, then you'd be probably the perfect candidate. We need people like that to then take that to the devs and stuff like that.
That's how you find exploits too. I mean, if you're trying to break the game, that's where exploits come into play. That's how most people found the stronghold.
Exploits.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a
controversy
PvE.
Just don't stream them out to everybody and let everybody know.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. Like, was he warned? Were they warned? Were they warned? Okay, if they're warned and they continue to do so, then that's a problem. That's on them. If they just kind of like did it, they got it. They have to figure out. You can come up with other ways of fixing that. You can say, all right, here's a 3-day, here's a 5-day, here's a 7-day. Like, you can have all kinds of things before. Because I think one of the guys who was doing it got restored.
Laddie or something like that. I forget what his name is.
But he got restored, and so Sir Mav, can you move? Like, you're completely frozen. We might have lost him.
I think we lost
I was like,
him.
"Dadgum!" He's like, he is perfectly still right now. Perfectly still. Okay. On that note, guys, we'll go ahead.
I like the freeze frame he's got too. It's
I
great.
know, it's perfect. It's like so serious. It's like, yeah,
so serious. He's like,
oh, he's back.
he's back.
You were like frozen.
Frozen?
You were perfect. Like, I was kind of worried. I was like, did I piss you off? You're like,
what's
happening?
Like,
That's so freaking funny. That was perfect.
That was great.
No, so like the question is like if he's little, like they can come up with other things because I think they even restored the guy they banned, and that's a lot of drama. That's a lot of bad press. That's more bad titles. That's more like it seems that it's like it's better to say there's a warning path. Like, hey, stop doing this. Oh, you like you didn't. Guess what? First offense, 3 days. Oh, second offense, 5. So third offense, a week, and then fourth offense, you're done. And then you're like, oh, they kicked me out. It's like they literally continue to warn. Like I think there has to be that path. I mean, obviously, they're depending on the severity of what's being happening. Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Whatever the severity is. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Needs to be a jail like in Final Fantasy 11 and Final Fantasy 14.
You're in jail. You've been jailed in Fort Tarsis. You can just come in and that's it.
You can only talk to the guy in between the hallway of the big doors. That's all you can do.
Oh man,
the redhead. No.
Okay. On a side note, the fact that dude's last name is the same as mine bothers me.
The best character. Okay. Best character in the game, guys. And then before we do our outro, best character.
Oh, come on! You can't make me choose that.
I can't. For me, it's Bryn because that's my character name. And I was like, "Holy crap! There's a Bryn here! Yeah, automatic win."
As much as no spoilers for anybody, but despite what he did, Owen, he's hilarious, dude. I love his character.
See, I'm stuck between the two of them. I really.
Dax is great too. Like, there's a lot of
Dax
really
is
good
hilarious.
characters.
Halleck is great at times. Like, Halleck is hilarious.
I want to say something, but I know it'll be a spoiler.
Yeah, don't say something just yet. We'll do a spoiler cast. Like when we get like maybe like once Act 1 starts, we could do a spoiler cast up to the story up to that point.
Everybody should be done with the critical path by that time.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it's like spoiler warning. Like, we're gonna really ruin it. We're gonna dive into this.
We're gonna ruin the game for you if you watch it.
Ruin it.
You'll have to wait till I go through my PC run.
Yeah, perfect.
It'll be all fresh in my mind.
You have until the 26th there. That's the date that I'm setting. So I'm setting goals.
Date
Setting
set.
goals. Critical path for the team here. All right, Nightmare. Where can people find you? What you working on?
People can find me on Twitch at Nightmare Demon Gaming. They can find me on YouTube at Nightmare Demon Gaming, and on Twitter at Krusnik Gaming.
You're off-brand.
I'm off-brand, yeah, because Nightmare Demon Gaming doesn't fit on Twitter. I tried, like in your at name, it doesn't fit. Currently, right now, just kind of coasting out and waiting for the shift change. Once I do that, I'm planning on doing some more on YouTube once I can work that in. Currently, just kind of streaming stuff from Anthem and 14, doing like dailies and different stuff, streams on Mondays and Fridays in the mornings.
Okay, great. Matt, what you working on? I know what you're working on. Tell them.
I already discussed it. So, of course, I have a review coming out tomorrow after 100 hours of gameplay on Anthem. Build videos coming out next week, and some more Lancer 101 series.
Chill.
You're
just being paid by EA.
I wish I was getting that paycheck.
Like, seriously, people are like, you'd cash the paycheck? Yeah, like, I have a family.
Watch the review. I'll address that too.
I'm looking forward to it. This guy makes really good videos. He is, last I checked,
How's he not monetized?
940 or something like that, guys.
Somewhere around there.
60 to go. Help this man get to YouTube program. He is definitely deserving. He's put in the work. He's put in the effort. Good quality content.
Yeah, you can find me iGameHDR, YouTube, Twitter. It's all the same handle. And on
then
Twitch.
the dog, so did the dog have its own Twitch yet?
We gonna get a dog
That dog
cam?
needs to go. That's not my
iGame. We're gonna get a doggy cam for the streams.
Doggy cam. Well,
We could.
Dog cam.
Chris will
I
hopefully
should
put
do
out
that.
a vlog soon because he has Chuck, and Chuck got real sick, and we didn't think he was gonna make it, but he's doing real good now. So I was like, yeah.
Awesome.
Chris is like saying now he's got a different set of problems other than that, like because the dog's healthy, and now he's like the dog he won't stop humping the pillow. And I was like, you gotta talk about that because it's like how
You definitely
awesome.
need a doggy cam
How
for that
awesome
one.
that
Is
that's
allowed
the
on-
problem now
is that
because
allowed?
you thought your dog was gonna pass.
I think
away.
that might be against
He
TOS.
recovered, and
Yeah.
now oh gosh, you're out of pillow. Like, that seems like that's a recovery story if I ever heard one.
No. It's like if this ever happens to me again, I'm gonna get something every day. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm encouraging Chris to make that video. We've got today, actually here in about 30 minutes, a career-ending podcast is going up on YouTube. We have, I joke and stuff like that, but it's at
Career ending. Oh
no,
no.
no matter what, like I love the community, but there are definitely people within it that tell me what kind of content I make. Like they'll say like you're this, and I'm like, am I? Like I don't ever remember saying that. But it's a podcast that I make weird stuff, guys. Like this is my dream. It's like I dream to talk to all kinds of people about all kinds of things. So on YouTube, here in about 30 minutes from this recording, if you're listening to this on YouTube, it was yesterday's podcast. We talk about Halo 6 Battle Royale, like a concept of that with
That'd be cool.
with Jonathan Blevins, who's Ninja's older brother, and Taylor Scroll. And
How
then,
did you pull? That's okay. That's impressive.
all the Blevins follow me, with the exception of Ninja right now. So I've only got one more Blevins to
He
go.
will get you, Ninja. You will come on board.
Well, I would love to talk to him. Like, who wouldn't?
Just don't do the
right?
floss.
No.
God,
It's all
don't.
about Final Fantasy 11, dude. Final Fantasy 11's favorite game. I want to talk to him about it. But so anyway, we talk about, but then we do a hard pivot. The whole theme of the show is Catholicism in the age of Twitch and YouTube. And so we talk to him about like, what does faith mean in this world? What does it mean to be like a Christian and be a streamer and be somebody who makes content? And how do you balance that with like your life? Because like I bring up kind of the humility prayer, and it's like, and I say this on the podcast, I'll say it here. I have no intention. I do not want to be famous at all. However, like I do feel like I like making content and talking with people, and I like to, I have a lot of joy when it especially comes around video games, and that's why I'm here doing this stuff. But, there is still that aspect, and I do see kind of, like there is that, that butting of the heads that I run into with trolls, like, and so how do you deal with that? Especially with John, he puts himself out there, he's actively praying for people and doing that kind of stuff. And it's good. Like it's really, he has a really cool stream. So it was a really fun conversation. We had Taylor back. Taylor was on the podcast this year. So that's what I'm doing. And it's going to be, I'm just, it's going to be the comments because it's like
content machine is what this man is right here.
I am. Like,
he's like a printing press.
If I had more time, like you would believe what I would just run like
pump out 2 videos a day.
Time in the world. Man,
oh, dude,
more like
the things that I don't do. I'm like, okay, cool. Just let it go, Brian. Like, like Apex just released an update to the weapon balances, and it's like, oh, I want to go test those out. They have the new Havoc. Like they've nerfed the Wingman. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm like, you got way too many games you're trying to keep up with. Like, I'm
just a quick study. Like, I play video game. Like, I played a little bit today, but it's like typically like maybe Sunday night, Monday and Tuesday, and that's when I play. And the rest of the time, it's like, so I have to maximize that time. So I then expand on what I want to talk about through the week. And then I'm working on stuff for Final Fantasy 14. So we got like I'm working on
all time management.
It's all project management 101. All right. Anyway, that's what's. It'll be interesting to see the reception.
Doesn't exist.
It's going to be interesting to see the reception that is, because it's like, because we actually had that plan for the beginning of January. It ended up, falling on Ash Wednesday. That's when we were able to get everybody together, and that was kind of fun because it was like, well, it's Ash Wednesday.
It's a good day.
Let's talk about religion. All right, guys. Anybody here have any final thoughts? Anything they want to share?
I think I've gotten all mine out.
Yep,
all right.
I'm good.
Cool.
Check out all my other ones tomorrow.
Check out all these guys. Links in the description below on YouTube. For Work to Game and Anthem Free Radio. My name's Brian.
I'm Sir Mav.
My name's Nightmare.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Hey guys, it's me, Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you're new here, we hope you hit that subscribe button. Check us out. We talk a lot about video games, and we hope to at least hear from you in the comments below. We also try to respond to our comments. We really appreciate the comments, the discussion, all the various points of view that everybody is so kindly, I guess, and politely or impolitely shares with us from time to time. So anyway, guys, again, thanks for watching this video. We hope you hit that like button. We hope you hit that subscribe button. Come back for more content each and every day. We post a lot around here, and we'd love to hear from you about what you like about video games and everything, and especially if you have any questions that you're stuck on in anything. So anyway, signing off. See you next time.